Montecito and Meghan's rosé has dropped. The feedback has been thick and fast. What have we heard?
Every time Catherine shines, Meghan mirrors it, then marks it up for sale. But royal investigators say the copycat game just turned into a coup, and they've got the playbook to prove it. Meghan's newest lifestyle drop looked harmless at first glance. A blush pink rosé called As Ever, launched through a Napa bottler that cranks out celebrity labels like scented candles. Then royal watchers noticed the date, the 1st July, Princess Diana's birthday, and the symbolism curdled. Diana's life ended in a crash tied to a drunk driver, yet her daughter-in-law chose that exact day to sell wine at $90 for a forced 3-bottle bundle, plus $20 shipping. Meghan's press note framed it as celebrating warm summer moments, but Twitter renamed the vintage Diana Dry and branded the Duchess Meghan Markup. When customers learned the same winery slaps Barry Manilow's name on another blend for half the price, the tribute started to smell less like sentiment and more like a cash grab. But price tags are only the first breadcrumb, because the label on the bottle isn't the only thing Meghan's been copying. Catherine, Princess of Wales, is famous for tiny, thoughtful details, like wearing Jo Malone Orange Blossom cologne at her wedding. 2 years later, Meghan unveiled Orange Blossom Honey under her new Archetypes pantry line. Coincidence? Maybe, until you stack it beside the raspberry jam that mirrors Catherine's homemade preserve favors, the country kitchen candle range that echoes Catherine's charity bake sales, and the pastel color palettes lifted straight from the Wales family Instagram grid. Each drop nicks a note from Catherine's sheet music, then amplifies it with Markle-size markups. Royal commentators have started calling it single white female branding, flattery that borders on psychological warfare, and the deeper you dig, the clearer the strategy looks. Every product glows with talk of small batch craftsmanship, yet shipping labels tell another story. The homemade jam and honey shipped from an Illinois factory 3,000 kilometers from Montecito, the same facility that white labels teas for daytime TV hosts and sauces for reality show runners-up. As Ever Rosé, a generic Grenache blend one Napa insider calls perfectly fine, just $10 over supermarket rosé before the Duchess tax. There are no tasting events, no individual bottles, just bundles and auto-renew subscriptions that upsell before anyone's popped a cork. Consumers expecting artisanal romance are discovering they bought celebrity fast food dressed as fine dining. But behind the glossy labels, something else is cooking. Cracks in the Sussex inner circle. James Holt, once Archwell's ride-or-die communications chief, quietly resurfaced in London this spring. Eagle-eyed LinkedIn users watched him like a post from Jason Knopf, the very Kensington Palace aide who compiled bullying allegations against Meghan. In courtier code, that single click felt like a white flag. Sussex skeptics think Holt is testing the water for a rapprochement with the family he once accused of sabotage. If trusted lieutenants are drifting home, insiders ask, how stable is the Montecito mothership? And when loyalty wobbles, credibility follows. Pushback isn't just coming from faceless Twitter avatars. Soul legend Mika Paris, who has known Harry since his polo days, publicly dismissed Meghan's racism claims, saying they don't match her own palace experiences. A slow roll of blue-tick voices, TV presenters, designers, former charity partners have begun shading the Sussex narrative in cautious interviews, praising their causes, then questioning the contradictions. The common theme, admiration curdles when every heartfelt anecdote is followed by a price tag, and the palace understands that silence can slice deeper than rebuttal. Buckingham Palace has switched strategies. After years of briefings and counter-briefings, they now give Meghan's projects the ultimate royal snub. No reaction at all, no corrections, no hashtags, not a syllable of acknowledgement, as if the Duchess's lifestyle empire doesn't exist. Historians call it the oxygen cut strategy. Without opposition to feed on, a grievance brand can suffocate. Meghan's camp reportedly hates the vacuum. You can't spin a conversation that isn't happening. And the metrics suggest the plan is working. For decades, the royal family's media playbook revolved around carefully timed statements and carefully worded denials. But after the Sussexes' tell-all interviews and blockbuster docuseries, aides noticed a pattern. Every rebuttal fed a fresh headline. Every clarifying sentence spawned 10 new accusations. So the palace pivoted to an older, colder tactic, total radio silence. And, strangely, it's working. Inside Buckingham's press office, the strategy has an almost clinical name, the oxygen cut. Comms staff receive orders to log every Meghan mention, but never to respond, even privately. When journalists pursue comment, the official line is a polite, no guidance. Off the record, a senior courtier puts it more bluntly. Imagine a bonfire. You can throw buckets of water on it all night, or you can step back and let it burn out. The Queen Consort reportedly endorses the policy, reminding confidants that the monarchy's greatest power is endurance, not engagement. The silence throws Team Sussex off balance. Whenever Meghan launches a product or drops a veiled jab, she counts on friction to ignite publicity. Palace counters, royal experts tussle, social timelines explode. Without that opposition, the narrative stalls in her own echo chamber. A leaked Archwell memo laments diminishing echo lift and urges staff to cede external conversations. But ceding outrage is tricky when the other side refuses to plant. Influence trackers confirm the shift. Engagement spikes are shorter. The Sussex cycle on Twitter now fades in 36 hours instead of a week. Like a performer straining for applause that never comes, Meghan finds herself raising the volume just to hear an echo. History favours the palace here. In the 1930s, critics hammered George VI for his stammer. The king said nothing, worked quietly with a speech therapist, and outlasted the ridicule. In the 90s, tabloids pummeled the Queen over Windsor Castle's fire costs. Buckingham stayed silent until public anger tired itself out. Now, silence is being weaponized again, not as indifference, but as a slow-acting solvent. Without fresh royal rebuttals, talk show producers begin to ask, do we still need this segment? And YouTubers who built channels on endless Windsor-Sussex tennis suddenly find one side of the court empty. Podcast deals stalled, Netflix projects paused, and the as-ever web store already offers discount codes to clear first-run stock. The Duchess still coins headlines by anchoring each launch to Diana or Catherine, but the public thrill is fading into a tired eye roll. When outrage turns to indifference, the influencer economy collapses. Attention is the only real currency. Meghan can change logos, fragrances, or price tiers, but one asset she can't rebrand is authenticity, and that's the commodity running shortest. So the question isn't whether Catherine will clap back, she won't. It's whether the audience will still care when the next tribute drops. While Kensington keeps its lips sealed, Montecito's numbers tell their own story. Spotify quietly erased Archetype Season 2 from its internal slate after the first run failed to meet our consumed targets. Ad buyers complained that episode downloads plunged by 58% after week 3. Netflix, once giddy about Sussex star power, put 2 follow-up pitches into development limbo, pending market pulse. Translation: subscriber data no longer guarantees a green light. Even the lifestyle empire's wobbling. Early pre-orders for As Ever Rosé looked dazzling, until credit card returns started piling up from buyers annoyed at the mandatory 3-bottle rule. The Illinois Fulfillment Center hired seasonal staff anticipating a second wave rush, only to cut shifts when reorders came in 70% lower than projections. Customer service emails reveal a pattern. Can I order just one? Is this really small batch? Why is shipping more than my grocery wine? Queries that hint the romance is wearing thin. Brand analytics firms track social sentiment velocity, the speed at which online chatter turns from neutral to negative. A year ago, Sussex launches triggered a 30-day positive tail. The Jam Drops positivity half-life was 11 days. The Rosés? Less than 4. That compressed arc terrifies marketers, because without sustained buzz, you can't build repeat purchase habits. You can only chase the next stunt. Behind the scenes, advisors float pivot ideas that border on frantic. A wellness retreat in Ohio, a children's mindfulness app, even murmurs of a return to acting cameo for Meghan to remind audiences of the original craft. But every pivot requires capital, and investors prefer steady moats, not perpetual reinvention. One West Coast venture capital partner, once bullish on the Sussex halo, now warns, if your differentiator is controversy, you're hostage to bigger controversy tomorrow. In other words, outrage doesn't scale. Harry, meanwhile, seems caught between fatigue and loyalty. Friends say he misses the kind of public work that required zero packaging, Invictus Games, veterans causes, yet the brand machine won't pause long enough for him to breathe. When Netflix cameras aren't rolling, he's reportedly drafting essays on PTSD stigma that may never clear brand alignment review. If irrelevance is Meghan's nightmare, inertia is his. And that's the fork in the road. Either they double down on palace-baiting launches, risking a public that no longer bites, or they step back, recalibrate, and craft something genuine enough to outlive the hype cycle. Nostalgia for Diana and fascination with Catherine built the on-ramp. Authenticity will determine whether the ride continues, because in the influencer economy, clicks buy a ticket, but sincerity keeps the seat. Legacies are supposed to be guarded, not resold. Yet every time Meghan borrows Diana's halo or Catherine's polish, she gambles that sentiment can be bottled and marked up. Maybe it works once, even twice, but nostalgia is finite. When the public senses they're paying for a memory that was never hers to sell, the spell breaks. So, what do you think? Is Meghan honouring royal history or strip mining it for merch? Drop your take below and don't forget to hit subscribe. We'll be watching the next product launch to see if the Duchess builds an empire or finally runs out of mirrors.